Hello, and welcome to today's podcast. I'm super excited to be chatting with you. And for all of the viewers and the listeners, today I am joined with Chelsy Brause, who is a somatic sexologist and awakening mentor whose life's purpose is to raise awareness to the power of your pleasure, self-love, and ultimately become your own guru. Oh, I love reading bios. So welcome. To start today, I really want to start today's episode with the most important question, because I really feel like every single person I chat to has a different answer to this question. And I want to know, what does intimacy mean to you?
Honestly, that has changed over the course of the past year. Let's say a year ago, I probably wouldn't be able to come up with an accurate description. Intimacy to me before probably would have just been like sex and just like kissing and like skin on skin, literally friction based masturbation with a partner. That's what intimacy would have been to me before. But now, within the course of the last 5-ish months, my idea of intimacy is literally conversations with people, connecting with people, really getting to know someone for who they are. And if that leads to the bedroom, then that leads to the bedroom. And that's just a different type of intimacy. So intimacy to me, like, it really leads to just like everything that I desire. If I guess that's how I would go about that too. Like intimacy means so much to me. Yeah, I don't even know where to go with that, but
No, I love that. And what came up actually as I was listening to is this piece, and I've actually had to do my own personal healing around this. And when I started learning about intimacy and sex and pleasure, my biggest trigger was intimacy outside of sex. So for instance, like if my partner showed me any affection, to me in my head, that meant it had to lead to sex. Like I could not separate the difference between intimacy and sex. And I really want to hear, like, did you have the same, I guess, healing journey around like sex outside the bedroom?
totally. Yeah, like even just like cuddling, it would always end up leading to, oh, this person now has an erection. Okay, I guess we're having sex. So totally. And like kissing, it's always going to lead, okay, we're kissing. Okay, this is escalating. Again, there's another erection. Okay, I guess we're going to have sex. That is totally what's kind of happened. Like anytime there was like any type of physical touch with a partner, when you just wanted to be held in that moment, it always kind of escalated to sex. So yeah, and like the healing for me, like there was times that yeah, I just wanted to be held. And because that's where it ended up leading, like you kind of just go with it. You don't really establish those boundaries in the relationship, and you're almost expected to just go with it. And like that, and especially since you're in that relationship, a lot of the time it is expected for you to have sex even if you're not feeling like it.
Yes. And I truly believe sometimes it's not always about sex. Sometimes it is about the intimacy. And the way I view intimacy is like being seen, like what you said, being held, being worshipped outside of that. And that could be just a cuddle, that could be that intimate conversation of just sharing how you are feeling with someone. Like I truly believe like you can find intimacy in all different moments, like even with friends. And sometimes it's about defining, do you desire intimacy or do you desire sex? But then also knowing that sex could also be a part of that intimacy. And which is actually lead me to the next part, which is I truly believe, sex is not just about the penetration. To me, sex can be happening all day long. Like I feel like, and someone said to me yesterday, sex is everything. And I truly believe that there's foreplay that needs to happen outside of the bedroom, in the sense of like, are you cuddling? Are you showing each other affection? Are you flirting with each other during the day? Like even when there's kids present, and like these little small, little intimate moments can lead up to this really big sexual pleasurable moment in the bedroom at the end. So I want to hear from you, like, what is sex to you? Like, what is your relationship around sex?
I feel like my relationship to sex, wow, like I love sex. my my relationship to it, like I fucking love it. Like I and a lot of the time it's with myself too. Like sex for me, like it doesn't necessarily have to again be with my partner. Like I really love the self pleasure aspect to it, and really giving myself that time and that love and just that its own they're my own intimacy. I find like for me, like with sex, like when you're bringing in a partner, I feel like you really just need to be grounded in yourself before you're actually integrating that other person into it. And that's just me personally. I find that as when I know that I'm truly grounded and I'm truly present and I'm truly feeling whole, that's when I'm able to come with a partner and have sex and really just bring it to this whole new level. Um, yeah, so like sex for me, like wow, it could be so many different things. And like just like great, just like it really helps build that intimacy too with your partner, I find.
Thank you for sharing that. I feel like I resonate in the sense of I agree everything how you feel about sex now. However, I used to avoid sex to the point where it was like a to-do list. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there that's just like, you have sex because that's what adults do. And it's like this to-do thing when you're in adult relationships. And I was just wondering, do you have a guide to helping people change how they're feeling about sex, like your own journey when it came to sex?
I think it really just comes down to how comfortable are you in your own skin. Because for me, like anytime that I'm feeling down or I don't know, sad or just not feeling quite whole, sex is the last thing on my mind. So I'm finding like anytime that I'm like not wanting sex, I'm like stressed out. I don't know, something would have happened recently that's upset me. So like a guide per se would really just be like, can you hold yourself in that moment? Can you quiet down what's going on and just really ground yourself and just love yourself in that moment, like just giving yourself that time and like that your own personal intimacy, like that self pleasure aspect that we always seem to talk about. So really it's like a guide to kind of get out of your own head and like just get to sex. Like I also wouldn't even like do it with the goal in mind that sex is the intention, because I feel like that's something that should like happens organically.
It's like removing the goal and then just getting back into the body and connecting with someone and taking away that goal oriented of ejaculation or climax.
Exactly. Yeah, and like that just reminds me of like masturbation, for example. There's that goal in mind, and like when you're chasing sex, when you're going in the mind, or when you're with your partner and you're wanting sex, there's literally a goal and there's a transaction based ego desire almost, even like, because that's like you just want to come, right? You just want that fucking orgasm, and that's really the purpose of sex for a lot of people. But if you take that destination, you take that goal out of it and you really just are there and you're holding each other and like just taking the mind out of it and kind of just flowing with whatever the body is needing in that moment, like it makes it so much more magical.
It's like that presence piece, because being present, you can then feel the sensations, like you can feel the pleasure, you can feel the connection with your partner versus approaching sex. I'm like, okay, well, you've got an erection. We want to ejaculate. Let's do the thing. And then reframing it to connecting, presence, and just being aware of how you're feeling.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, like, if ejaculation or orgasming is your goal, like at that point, you're literally just masturbating on top of somebody. So, I mean, like, we all have done it. We all have done those in transactional based connections, and that's fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But keep that in mind. That's kind of what it is.
It really is. And you know what? Like, I also believe that's okay sometimes. Like, it's kind of like, you know, sometimes even my partner will have that just real more, I like to say, the more masculine version of sex, which is basically the quickie. It really is just sex. That's about it. But then
Yeah.
also there's other times where it is about the connection. It is about slowing down. It is about being present. So it's kind of like, it's okay if you want the masturbation style of sex. However, that doesn't need to be how sex is. Like, there gets to be however feels good, because I truly believe it should be pleasurable for everyone, not just one person that's, you know, penetrating. I want to ask you, because you mentioned it a bit, is self-pleasure. What is self-pleasure to you, and how does that show up in your life?
Yeah. So it's so funny. So I talk about self-pleasure quite often now. And then I hear other people talk about it that aren't in the same space as you and I. And then I'll continue talking about it with them. And then I'll realize they're actually talking about masturbation. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Back this up. I'm not talking about masturbation. So I mean, that's awesome. And that's actually quite beautiful that you mask yours as self-pleasure. But self-pleasure to me is really like a daily, because I like to do it daily. So it's a daily practice and giving myself that time to feel. It could be pleasurable. It may not be pleasurable. Again, it really depends what's going on and what's alive for me in that moment. Really just slowing down and just giving my body what it's been asking for.
I love that. And for me, doing self-pleasure, and I like to do it on a daily basis as well. To me, before I was doing self-pleasure, I was primarily in my head, very numb, very disconnected, couldn't feel anything in my body. And the more I self-pleasure, the more I could feel the aliveness. Like, even now, just talking to you, like, I can feel the energy in my body. My body is louder than my head. And I'm just interested to see, how has self-pleasure evolved for you?
Yeah. So in the beginning of my self-pleasure journey, let me reflect on that really quick. So in the beginning, like, I didn't quite understand what the fuck I was doing. And I tried so hard not to be in my head. And of course I was. But slowly over time, you kind of just like, you somehow fall into it. And yeah, so in the beginning, obviously, not only was in my head, and I find that when you're in your head, you're quite numb when you're too much in your head. And as you built up the sensations, you kind of, you really just keep practicing and commit to it. The sensations, the way that they started to grow was quite overwhelming. So it's literally like a regular sensation on your shoulder. It just feels like your finger, but as you build up those sensations, like, all of a sudden you're actually connecting to that energy in that area. And yeah, it really builds a new appreciation for the body. And as it's evolved over time, yeah, so now I, like, this body that I'm in, like, I know it is a body, it's just my human body, but it's divine. And it's magical. It has energy flowing, coursing through it. It experiences pleasure, it experiences pain and all these other things, but like, none of it's right or wrong. It's all just beautiful, and it just is. It's been quite an evolution.
I love that. And how do you feel like it's affected, because I know you're in with a partner, how do you feel like it might have played a role in your relationship with your partner, or even just as a mom? Like, how do you feel like it has affected your life as a whole?
Mm, that one is interesting because I feel like every day it's something new. Because of course this is like a forever journey. Um, but as a whole, like now, I used to be quite a reactive person, and I didn't realize I didn't even notice how it was affecting my body. So now with self pleasure, because the sensations, the sensitivity to it has really evolved and changed over time. Now I can feel the way anger feels inside my body. I can feel that tightness in my solar plex. I can feel my gut just like boiling, and my heart clenching. I could feel my throat tightening. I know what these sensations are, and I can feel them. And when they're coming, I can just be with them instead of lashing out or screaming or whatever the hell it was that I was actually going to do before. Now I can just be with those sensations and just appreciate them for what they are, and that's it.
So beautiful. And I feel like the more you feel those sensations, it's you tapping into your aliveness. And I feel like that goes out into the world. And I truly believe, and I think I say this to everyone, is like I manifest through self-pleasure. The more I can tap into my aliveness, in whether it's anger, sadness, all the positive, you know, the joy, the excitement, the expansion, is there's aliveness there no matter the emotion. And then I get to honor, and then I get to bring that out into the world as well. Bringing it back a bit, I've had quite a few people reach out to me very interested in discovering their own sexuality again. They're basically newbies and they want to connect with their sexualities and they don't even know where to start. And I'm curious, like, what is sexuality to you? What does that look like? What was your journey to discovering your own unique sexuality? Because I truly believe sexuality is different to every single person, and the way we express it can be completely different.
Yeah, and yeah, that's really really going to be based on someone's own reality and the experiences they've endured over time. I feel it comes out to be their own essence and all the evolution that they've occurred over time. And for me in particular, like my sexuality, I feel like that's also changing often. I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface of what it is going to be. But at the moment, like my sexuality, like she is so playful. I'm gonna refer to her as a she. And there's moments where she wants to be the seductress. There's moments that she wants to be very timid. There's moments where she's the fucking animal. um, so like I feel like my sexuality kind of is all over the place. And yeah, like I said, it's changing all the time. And like like again, there's moments where I want to be just like this slut and just like show my ass to everyone. And then there's other moments where I just don't even want to be seen. So so what I guess what I'm trying to say is like for me, there isn't really a way for me to define it because at the same time it's everything. And for other people I know, like it's different for everyone. I can't even classify it as really anything. And it's funny too, because when I think of it, like most people would think of sexuality, you think of like the mainstream, you'd see like porn, right? And you see people arching their back and puckering up their lips, trying to be sexy. And I'm doing air quotes to that. And like, that's just not real. That's sexy. Like that's just literally a commercial ad. That's not real sexuality, in my opinion.
No. And I feel like you're explaining what I feel like is sexual liberation. When I entered this sexuality space, I had so much resistance, especially being a mum, because there were so many people posing naked and having no clothes on, which, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, like I am quite inspired by a lot of them. I've had my own nude photo shoot. However, that didn't felt true for me. I'm not going to be walking around in a bikini in my underwear all day long. You know, having the business and being, you know, a mum, I'm also not dripping wet wanting sex all the time. So to me, sexual liberation, I had to really define it. And the way I define it is I'm a modest sexual liberation in the sense of I'm sexually liberated. You know, exactly what you're saying. I'm playful. I can be fun. Sometimes I do want to show skin. Other times I want to be completely covered up and it's all okay. I want to share, do you have anything to add on about sexual liberation?
Oh, sexual liberation. I feel like it comes to just really owning it, just really owning whatever comes up for you and not holding back and not giving a fuck.
Yes. It's kind of like staying grounded in
Mm-hmm.
who you are and your worth and just honoring what's coming up for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much. I want to give you the floor now to share where people can find you. Any offerings, of course, I'll obviously put them in the show notes so people can have easy access, but feel free to share what you have to offer.
Thank you. At the moment, if anyone is feeling pulled to me, they can reach out to me on platforms that I'm most active on. So I'm mostly active on Instagram, and my handle is Chelsbra. That's CHELSBRA, Chelsbra. And I have a website people can contact me on, chelsbra.com. I'm also on YouTube, and you can reach me at Chelsbra, that's person and last name. And also Facebook, Chelsbra. So that's my theme.
Chelsbra everywhere.
Yeah.
And do you have any offerings that you would like to let people know about?
At the moment, I don't. I am working on some things. So if anyone's interested, please follow me on my socials. You'll be the first to know. The only thing I can add is I do also have my own podcast, Evolve Mindset. And the only offering I have on that is if anyone's looking for a live coaching call. I do those on my podcast. So just reach out to Chels at chelsbra.com and send an email.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for your time.